go have some fun.
And we're back.
Episode 3.
Episode 3.
The Jacob and Seb podcast.
We're here.
In my room.
In his room again.
1.5 meters apart.
Yeah, definitely.
Kind
yeah,
of.
we are. No,
Is
we
it?
are. Yeah, it's just like 40, probably like
Whatever.
50 centimetres, but that's okay. That's all right. We divide things by third in this household.
Exactly.
Yeah, we do. So we were aware of the second episode was a bit choppy. So I'm going to try and stay still because I feel like it's me moving.
We don't want to have to make you guys crack out the Panadols again.
So I'm going to try to stay still and not move as much.
Yeah.
But if I do apologise. It's just how my body works. I don't like sitting still for too long. So we've got a very interesting topic today, which is enjoying the mundane. I think it was something we really came up with on the fly. I
think it ties in with our mission statement, which I don't think we've stated in the previous episodes, but the whole idea of this podcast is to sort of create positive content that helps question the why.
of
and
things, yes.
You know,
Yeah, of everything.
sometimes there is not much of a why behind doing.
Realistically,
Why you tuck in your...
what he's saying is we want you to be confused. That's it's kind of
We want to open your
our
mind.
aim.
Yeah.
But yes, opening minds and blah blah, all that.
But yeah, like when you have to clean the dishes, I guess there's a bit of a why. You know, it's in the name. You clean the dishes,
Why are you cleaning the dishes?
but there's not much of a greater why behind cleaning the dishes.
No,
But
you know why.
it's a
you're doing
necessity,
it. Yeah.
and everyone's got to do it. So, and it's just sort of enjoying that. It's like some people, when they talk about doing chores and mundane things, it's always in a negative tone.
Yeah.
But it makes up 90% of your life. So
You can tell the story that you told me earlier today.
Oh,
during
okay.
this as well, because that's going to be good.
yeah, so Jake was referring to the because I work in a startup, so I do pretty much everything.
Yep.
I'm a bit of an everything man, and I enjoy it. I enjoy going to work and not knowing what's going to happen that day. And ironically, on Thursday, my boss just came up to me and asked if I was happy to go use the whippersnipper.
Whippersnipper?
And
Yeah.
eyes wide open, I was ecstatic because
He was very afraid of how excited you were to do a simple task.
he was.
Yeah.
I think I caught him off guard, but that's what I'm talking about. It's something that needs to be done, and you might as well look at it in a positive light rather than sit there and just drop into your shoulders and be like, okay, I'll do it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Regardless, I'm pretty sure he's going to make me do it anyway. So it was just like, I'm going to do the
Probably.
I'm going to grab the whippersnipper. I'm going to enjoy my time doing it.
I would 100% rather do that than like paperwork or lift something heavy.
Exactly. At least on your feet, right?
Unless I felt like doing either of those two things. And sometimes you feel like lifting something heavy, sometimes you don't.
It's nice. It's nice having a balance.
Yeah. Difference in tasks during the day kind of keeps you busy and awake. I think doing the same thing gets really, really, really repetitive, and it makes you really tired too. So yeah, I think you were going to lead this because I'm familiar with all these topics, but probably not as familiar as you. I think you probably know a bit more about it. I was going to say life, but that's probably not. That's not the good thing to say.
I think no one's.
I think not everyone
100%
knows.
on life.
Exactly. Probably letting in the love was I think something that we could touch on now
Letting in the love.
rather than later. It's something that's mundane. Well, I don't think love in itself is mundane, but I think letting in love is mundane in that it's quite easy to do, but some people don't do it.
I think it comes back to just having a positive spin on things because love is a very strong emotion.
I think love doesn't necessarily have to be between two people, though. Like
it doesn't have to be intimate.
can
Love
love someone.
can be between us, like emotionally. You know,
we
like,
love each other.
exactly. And we're not intimate like
partners.
physically.
Yeah.
But I think we open our hearts to each other.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And with pets as well. Pets.
And
You can
pets.
love
Yeah, pets are extremely mundane. Like, can you imagine being a pet? You just wake up, eat,
There's literally
play,
a movie about it.
sleep, shit.
Life of Pets.
But they look like they have a lot of fun.
They do, but mind you, it is a cartoon. I think some things are a bit...
Are you talking about the one where they're spies?
Yes.
No, well, it's a little bit less mundane. That'd be pretty cool.
It is a little bit less mundane, but still, there's a movie about it, and I think we're also going to touch on how different things are when you're doing them with friends and when you're doing them by yourself. Like, is there a difference in...
'Cause if you use, like, sitcoms, in my opinion, I think the writers of sitcoms are some of the most intelligent people on the planet.
Oh, absolutely. In terms of, like, comedic timing and, like, how they get across points of view, like,
And, like,
it's a very artistic expression that they have.
I think we'll use, like, The Office, Community, and, like, Parks and Rec as, like, the main examples, because I think at this point they're quite old, like 2010. So everyone's probably had a chance to watch it at some point.
There's tons though. There's like Friends. You got heaps of others. I did say there's tons and only say one, but that's okay. You get my point. That's fine.
Yeah, there's plenty.
Yeah,
but if you think about the concept of a sitcom, right? Like even Friends is probably the most mundane one of them all. Like they're not even at work or something, right?
Yeah.
But when you watch a sitcom, it's like they really express the enjoyment in the mundane. Because like you use like Community as an example, where they go to community college. Like everybody, like when they say community college, they probably like, oh, you know, you must have a terrible time there. But if you watch Community, it's like they literally look forward to coming back after the summer break.
Exactly.
And they do extremely mundane things. Yeah,
they do.
And because it's like in a sitcom, obviously it's a bit more humorous. But
yeah, they add always a humorous spin to things, but you know what they're doing is still mundane. Like you could do that now if you really wanted to. Some of it probably costs more money than others. Like
have like a paintball
tournament inside the middle of a school, that probably costs a bit of money. But I mean, we could do that. Do we have paintball guns?
No. Can you buy them here?
Again, more money. Because spend more money. And the problem, you know, doing things that you enjoy sometimes takes money, which is annoying.
That was probably really loud.
Were you sipping that water? We can include that though. That's fine.
No,
they enjoyed that. I'll do it as well if it makes you feel better.
No, it's okay. we'll minimize the editing. Yeah.
Enjoying the mundane. That is the main topic for today.
Because ironically, there was a study that studied happiness. I've studied a lot.
You like these like weird ass studies that show up around the world. Like...
And there was a graph, and it was a bit more of a survey thing. I'm measuring what activities made people happy, right?
Yep.
And like shopping, surprisingly, was extremely low on that scale. As you can, I don't know.
I'd expect that. Yeah, I don't. Think
I can definitely agree with that. But in second and first, well above even third, was in first obviously sex. Well, not obviously, but it's clearly deserving of the podium.
Yeah.
And number 2 was talking, and that one was like a bit of an eye-opening one, because talking can be argued as a very mundane task.
But I think some people don't enjoy it and some people do.
But it makes people nearly as happy as when they have sex. Yeah.
Yes.
That's what the graph. That's what the studies show.
I'd say probably in a different way it makes them happy, but yeah,
a bit different euphoria, but like the whole idea of you're doing one of the most extremely mundane tasks, which in most cases, if it's not transactional, there is no end goal for a conversation apart from sharing ideas and to just be present in the moment and just express thoughts. But it is the second most happy thing people can do. And I can attest to that, and we can attest. We have a podcast, so
yeah, this is
clearly we enjoy talking.
I laugh a lot anyway, but when you're actually talking about stuff, and it's like we're still talking about some serious topics. I think today's a bit less serious, but it's more like we still laugh about everything that we say. Like there's always a funny side to something if you think about it enough.
Yeah. A bit more of a light-hearted episode.
Exactly. Yeah. I think we've had 2 relatively deep topics.
Yeah, but you got to remember this is still sort of questioning life in some sense, because I think I use the graph of this diagram of everybody has like a point A and like traveling to point C, whether that's getting a promotion or...
He did draw that. I have that here. But I'm not showing it to the camera because it's too small.
It's basically literally a dot and one arrow connecting the two. Okay,
Yes.
but in the middle, there's the idea of you've got point B, and point B is sort of that mundane filler stuff that you kind of have to go through, like cleaning the dishes,
Yeah.
before you can get to point C.
Yeah.
And everyone's so fixated on getting to point C and living in that future self and like imagining being there that they're never present. And that B part, as I described, kind of makes up 90% of your life. Like a large portion of your life is fairly mundane.
But I think I have something to relate to that, because like when say I wake up in the morning, have a shower, get changed, whatever like that.
Keep talking.
No, that was good. I'm good. So basically, you just turned away from the camera to take a sip of water.
I'm turning away from the mic.
You're actually turning to the camera. You're right. Like if I back on the topic, if I like wake up in the morning and I can play computer games the entire day, I feel crap. Like I don't feel good at all. Like I'd rather have, like, if that's my point A is to play, or sorry, my point C is to play video games the entire day. Say you've got an A to C for your day, and that's like, oh yeah, I'm just going to play video games the entire time. That's that entire arrow going around to point C. Then I'm going to go to bed. You play 6-7 hours of video games, I feel crap. I've done it before, and I probably don't play that much now, but like I do stuff in between. Like I've kind of got into the habit of being like, I will actually go like unpack the dishwasher or do the dishes because I feel bored as hell right now. Like I could easily be doing something else. Like I'll go for a walk or I'll go grab something to eat. Like I'll have some exercise.
Yeah. That's a good point. And I think I've thought about that one before. Like, I think there is a thing about doing physical activity. Like, doing something mundane that's physical, you feel a little bit better just because your body's activated. Like, your body needs to be in an active state, I think. I think living sedentary lifestyle is not healthy. But I think the whole idea of you not being happy playing video games is because you're thinking about the million other things that you could be doing. Because even think about it right now. There's like a multi-universe type thing. It's like there is a million different Jacobs that you could be doing a million different things right now, but you chose to be here with me making this podcast. And if you imagine what those million other alternatives could be, then you'll never truly be mentally here and enjoying this mundane task.
I'm waiting for the segue because that first segue was brilliant. I'm waiting for the second one.
Yeah. I guess I could transition.
You can segue now. Because I know exactly what you're about to say.
Our segues are still in getting a work in progress.
They're work in progress. I was just laughing at it because it was actually pretty good.
Yeah, because we have a few dot points. But because as I mentioned, Community, I watched that one early in the year, and I think that was a very strangely pivotal moment in my life to actually enjoy the mundane a lot more, especially before I was, a bit more entrepreneurial and like had a sort of full-time business, and now not so much. And now because when you have a business, just sort of sidebar, you really struggle to be present and enjoy the mundane because you always thinking about your business. Yeah. So you're never truly present because your mind is always wandering about, and like if you're playing video games, forget about it. You never enjoy it because you might be thinking, okay, I might go for a walk. But when you have a business, it's like you're thinking somebody in like another house who's not playing video games is like working their ass off to take you down.
Yeah.
Like it plays in the back of your mind all the time. And Community, I think, really sort of allowed me to understand just being present in the moment and just enjoying the randomness and mundane of life. And the whole idea, the multi-universe episode, I'm not sure if anyone's familiar with it, but
it's a good episode.
Oh, it's top 5, top 10 at least.
Yeah.
And they're sitting having a party, like a
dinner party,
bit of a gav, and the 7 crew members there, the 7 gang members, community members,
gang members,
community members, and essentially they roll a dice, and there's one of them have to go get the pizza from downstairs, and so they have a universe where each and every single one of them leave the house to go get the pizza. So there's like 7 different timelines.
Yeah.
And what really stood out to me the most was the one where Jeff left the room. And I'm not sure, for those who haven't watched Community, Jeff is basically
the cool one of the group. He's a leader. He's the
he's the quotation air quotes
The parent.
the bit more responsible, and I think anyone who can, he's the very conforming one. Like he doesn't, like we talked about yesterday, he's not expressive with his emotions. He's
he
very
doesn't.
reserved. He wears very grayscale clothing.
Yeah.
Um,
But I think through...
and he's just, strangely enough, because the whole community is based on him trying to have intercourse. Or we'll say sex, I guess is okay. The word.
We're all 18.
Yeah, we're all 18.
Well, probably most of us.
Let us know if you're not. And we should change the word up. But he wants to have sex with Bretta. And the other guys basically just form around them because Bretta invites them. And so he's very conformist. Yeah. And
I think you kind of see the way that through watching Community, once you get to like the final seasons, I think you kind of see how he's changed as a person as well.
Yeah, I think the other 6 really sort of show him to just enjoy life more and to just not be so serious all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Because in this multi-universe episode, ironically, all 6, when Jeff is in the room, somehow something bad happens. Like, one of them, I think, with the fire, like Jeff got shot in the leg and
Yeah.
Bretta's got caught on fire and stuff. But when Jeff leaves the room, a song plays. And I can't remember the song name, but it's like an old school song.
Yeah.
And
we'll look it up after
in every other timeline, Jeff presses pause. Like he doesn't want Bretta to start singing because I don't know, he thinks it's weird and it's not quote unquote normal.
I'm not gonna lie, I completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
But you brought it up. I'm like,
exactly.
Oh yeah.
And so, but when Jeff leaves the room, that is the only timeline where Bretta is actually allowed to keep the song playing. She starts singing, then someone else starts singing, and basically it evolves to everybody starts singing and they get up and start dancing. So when Jeff walks in the room, they're all on the living room floor dancing and singing. But that was the only timeline that, because there was no like conformist in the room sort of controlling what happens per se, that they were actually able to just
Be themselves. Yeah. I think, like, obviously they were still...
That makes sense.
Jeff's not a bad guy. It's just more so he has a different view on the world to everyone else. And I think his first thought was like, oh yeah, I just need to go through community college, get my law degree again so I can become a lawyer again. That's another one of the main plot points for those that haven't actually watched Community. But we'd suggest you do watch it because it is a hilarious, very entertaining and eye-opening show, I think, at some moments. There's a few more episodes. We were trying to think because we did want to relay Community into this episode. And I was like, the important lessons, I'm sure I've taken them in, but I cannot remember exactly how they went. And I know you can definitely probably remember more than I can, which is why you brought up this episode. And it's such a... I don't necessarily think it's a pivotal episode, but I think it's very informative. Like, it tells you some things that I think everyone should know about, not necessarily conforming, as Sebastian would put it, but being yourself rather than who other people want you to be or are forcing you to be. I think that's kind of the message that the writers wanted to get across.
Because, like we mentioned last time, people are too afraid to express themselves. And I think music can really help bring out the mundane.
It's a beautiful life.
It's a beautiful life. Ace of Base,
That's
by the
Ace
way.
of Base. Yeah, that's a good song. That's one to dance to. Look up the video clip of Adam Sandler in Don't Mess with the Zohan, and you will love that song and those dance moves.
Because I think back onto Community, kind of Troy and Abed, I think they were strangely a very uplifting and critical part of us actually starting this podcast.
Actually, yeah, it's a little bit embarrassing, actually. I think we kind of... Not that we would compare ourselves to them. I don't think I could ever compare myself to one of them because, they're very talented actors. And obviously they were acting in that way. But I think we kind of wanted the podcast to reflect, like, the fun nature that they would have. And then the topics of discussion they would have. We're still working on the rap. We can't do the rap yet. We'll do that. I only know one word and it's biblioteca. So, hey, that's about it. But it was...
Because I think they're the pinnacle of enjoying the mundane.
Oh, they are. Absolutely.
Creating a giant pillar fort, a giant blanket fort, like... there is no purpose in that
Going for the world record on the pillow fort, by the way.
apart from just enjoying doing something meaningless. And I think I brought it up before the podcast that to some extent, I'm a bit of a nihilist, that everything is low-key meaningless. Even the whole point C, like if you really reflect on point C, most likely point C is somehow tied into economic success and financial gain. And then when you realize that money is valueless, you realize point C is sort of meaningless. And that like the whole idea that you're living your life not enjoying the 90% in the middle, the mundane stuff, for the meaningless end result of money, it's a sad life to live.
Marketing. Here we go.
No, marketing. I was making the point to Jacob before that once you've been, because I work in the marketing space, that once you've lifted the blindfold, you realize how manipulated, like how many why?
Oh, that was funny.
You realize how manipulated everybody is. Like marketing is purely psychological and is purely built on just instilling thoughts into your mind. And especially social media, nobody low key.
Propaganda.
But nobody on social media posts the mundane.
No, they don't.
Like they post holiday pics. And you got to remember, like, if you're on holiday and you're doing like an ATV ride, the rest of the day was probably mundane anyway. You probably just ate breakfast.
I'm probably very guilty of that.
Beach.
I think I only have like holiday pics on my Instagram, but still, like, there's
the question. Okay, I want to pose a question to you then, because I don't use social media much, as we've discussed. Why don't you post the other 90% of your life on social media if you're happy to post that 10%, which can be counted as point C?
I don't think like even most of the pictures, I don't think they're necessarily of me. Like if I have like 40 pictures on there, I think 2 of them of people that I know, and there's like 2 pictures of me out of the 40, and the rest are like of food, of places. I think it's more so what I've found fascinating, not that I'm ashamed of the mundane that I've had, because the mundane that I've had is awesome. Like, but I think when you're on holiday, there's a certain, I think people don't feel like they are experiencing the mundane. Like you're in a completely different place, surrounded by completely different people doing different things. And a holiday that, you can go anywhere in the world. Like I could go up to Gold Coast and have a completely different time to what I'm having down here. And I'm sure that it would probably be less mundane, if anything, if I went somewhere different.
You just pose an interesting thought. Because what you're suggesting is, when you go to a different country, despite doing the mundane, because it's sort of out of your routine and out of your natural habitat, kind of.
Habitat, yes.
Strangely, the routine mundane becomes unroutine because you're doing it in a completely different space.
Yes.
But why is that? Why are you happy to do the mundane in a new place?
I don't know. I think that whether or not it could be the mundane for there. You don't know whether you are like is eating, like, say you go to like a tropical island or wherever you're holidaying, like you go to Europe or something. I'm sure eating pizza at a restaurant in like Rome is completely mundane for the people that live there. But if you're traveling there, it's not mundane for you at all. I mean, 100%. You're coming from a completely different country, whether it's who you're with. And I think with your friends as well, I think you could say that, there's people that you're like, you go do something with your friends, like you play basketball with your friends. That's no longer mundane. I think you're doing something special. You're making memories compared to if you were playing basketball by yourself. Would you ever remember that? Seriously, like if
really?
Comparatively, that if you were playing basketball with friends or you went to a soccer match and watched a game, would you remember if you'd gone to that soccer match with friends or family, or would you remember if you'd gone there by yourself?
No, I had this thought as well. No, only with friends. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're enjoying that more, and whether or not, like, obviously, for some people, going to a soccer game could be mundane. Like, you might go once a week and you're like, oh, this is normal for me now. But I think that for other people, that, again, all of how people view the world. Like, I think in the last 2 episodes as well, we've said, like, it's the way that you view the world and it's the way that you see things. And I think the mundane is kind of, it's an important topic because it does sound a bit cringy, but it's enjoying the mundane is probably the least mundane thing to do. Think about it. Yeah, You're nodding right now. I can see that. Do you have anything to add to that?
No, I just like how you brought up perspective. Because like with the whole whippersnipper, I know I'm saying it wrong, but that's just how I say it. That's just how I say it.
I love that word. That's okay.
The whippersnipper. Like, if my perspective on having to go and obviously clean up and level out the back of the warehouse was negative, then the whole experience would be negative. But because my perspective was positive, the experience was positive. I literally only stopped because they came and got me at 4 o'clock. Otherwise, I would probably have still been outside whippersnippering. Like, I was so just caught up enjoying whippersnippering, and I was like...
But genuinely, speaking of something that's, I think music nowadays, you would think is like a necessity. Like, I think music is amazing. And there's times at work where I'd be caught up doing something. I remember I scan stuff at work. Like, Seb knows exactly what I'm talking about. But I'll basically scan it. I'll scan a document, and then I'll scan the things that need to go out, that are heading out of the warehouse. And there's been moments where I've been listening to music, and I've gone along the line and just scanned 5 tanks, and I've needed to scan 1. Like, it's a similar concept, and I think that just weirdly, I just thought of that because music is absolutely amazing. We were listening to music before we recorded this. And it's kind of like, I don't think I would rather... It's almost like one of those apps where it's like, what would you rather live without? Music or TV?
Definitely TV. Live without it.
I'd rather prefer music because I think that, like, if I was at a soccer game, again, a similar concept. If I was at a soccer game, I would rather remember that I was listening to music while watching that soccer game than watching that soccer game without music.
But I think it's also what kind of music you listen to. Because let's say you're at a soccer match, as an example, and you got one person with their earphones in listening to Latino sort of upbeat music, and you got the person directly sitting next to them listening to screamo and like death metal. And like we're not criticizing music choice.
They're completely different then.
But music, especially when it's only you listening to it, like in your ears, and actually even if it's playing on the loudspeaker, it's going to just multiply the effect from 1 to 100,000.
But if it was on the loudspeaker, obviously people would be enjoying it. It would be feeling different, like
a little bit. But like if everyone was listening to death metal, the whole idea there is there's 2 people watching the exact same match, but because they have different music playing in their heads, one with a really negative, sour tone, and the other one with an upbeat tone, they're going to perceive that moment, that soccer match, completely differently.
Yeah.
So like it's also kind of shaped, like the things you do also shape, and the choices you make shape your perspective. Like if you intentionally, and it creates a negative feedback loop. Like if you continuously listen to death metal, I think I haven't done it. So, but I'm talking about the other perspective, because when I listen to only upbeat music, it makes me more upbeat. It makes me more happy. I enjoy doing mundane things, and then it just sort of like makes a positive cycle for me. And I can just only imagine what happens if you listen to the other kind of music and how it creates a negative cycle.
I agree. I think, but the true question that I pose to you right now is music mundane? Because I did state before that I think listening to music makes things not mundane or unmundane, however you want to phrase that. But I think, is music in itself mundane? Is it? And how are we defining mundane? Are we saying that mundane is something that is not special? Because music could be special. Music is special, but I think to a certain degree.
I think what you like, just going back on that whole idea of going overseas, maybe mundane is just routine. I think maybe mundane is basically your routine and enjoying that routine. Yeah. Because I think maybe because I changed jobs, because I'm comfortable changing jobs, maybe I am comfortable mixing up my routine to sort of try new mundane things and make maybe the mundane not mundane because it's no longer routine.
Yes. I kind of got that.
Kind of.
I was kind of phased out for a second. I'm not going to lie.
But I think on your music question, that I think music is sort of like a form of escapism, because the moment you put like earbuds, like headphones on, you're sort of manipulating one of your senses. So like you're no longer in the reality of the world. You've sort of like taken this music and transported yourself to either like a negative or like a really upbeat place.
Yeah.
Because and like sometimes I put it in just because I don't like listening to the sound of industrialism, like the cars driving past and trains. Like if I'm in nature, I very rarely keep my headphones in.
No, listening to music while you drive is amazing.
It is.
It's amazing. Speaking of mundane, driving. Is driving
Take the floor.
mundane because it's out of the routine? It's in the routine, surely. So it would be classified as mundane. But I think like people that are into cars and driving, I think that it's not mundane at all. I mean, I love to go for drives. Drives are amazing.
But it's not because the whole idea, if you go for a drive for the sake of driving, it's not really routine. So then it's not really mundane.
Yes.
Because if you have to drive to work, then that's routine and that's mundane, right? But in this sense, you've got to do it. It's routine, you have to go to work. Or you could catch public transport. You could mix it up, to be honest. But the whole idea is the camera's off for sure.
Spice it up. No, that's fine. That's cool. We'll put a when the camera did just turn off, so we'll
turn off. Just keep talking.
Yeah, so I think that cars are kind of more like they're not a mundane prospect because I love driving myself. Like I went for a drive yesterday.
The day before.
No, yesterday. I went for a drive yesterday.
Oh, you're talking about a different drive?
Yeah, last night. It was good.
I didn't know.
It was kind of it was. I think I went up to where did I go? I went to Rosebud and back, which is about a 40-minute drive. And I think listening to music. I don't know how many songs that was. I can't remember.
Would have been a lot.
It's like 40.
Yeah.
No, not 40. 10. Not 10.
10 songs to drive to Rosebud.
40 minutes. If you got 4 minutes a song.
4 minutes. Like, that's pretty long songs.
Roughly.
Yeah, roughly 10, 15 songs.
No, songs are like 3 minutes to 4.5 minutes. I think that's like a song length. Normally. Like
I skip songs all the time.
So do I.
After the first verse.
But normally, like, if I go for a drive, I'll put the songs that only I like on. Like, I'll cue them up before I go for a drive. I don't know why I do that. I think it's just more enjoyable to drive with music that you enjoy listening to. Like, why would you ever go for a drive and then put on music you don't like?
But it's the whole idea of listening to the industrial. Like, if you don't have the music, what are you listening to? People honking, your engine running. Honking. Don't honking. Judge my accent.
Honking.
But like, I hate the sound of the engine and like the exhaust. Especially, I guess if you have a really nice one, but mine's very average.
So I got told, we both know who this person is, but there's a warehouse administrator where I work. And I got told that I was way too polite.
Too polite?
I was too polite. Because I apologised for my accent. And because when I'm speaking to people, my accent turns quite... British, yeah. I think more so my grammar as well. Like, I'll say things that are quite... Names I will say in a very British way, and I can't. You guys keep hearing sounds. Seb, is the camera's on right now?
Your leg.
You said you're touching. I'm not touching myself. I'm scratching my leg because it was itchy. Yeah, but I was scratching my leg because it's itchy. If the mic picks that up. Update on the mics, by the way. We should have new mics by.
We're getting some.
It's
in the
progress episode. Process. So hopefully the mic camera quality will not.
We just hope the content is
okay,
worth the poor audio
and the Panadol. The cost of the Panadol.
Message us if you're running low on Panadol. We'll send you some.
We'll ship off some Panadol to other people. Yeah. No, it's good. I think that it's been a really good. I don't even know how long we've been going for. I don't know.
For some time.
For some reason, the recording software says it in seconds, and I'm trying to calculate how many minutes it's been.
Probably been about 40 minutes.
Yeah, which is a good length anyway.
So, but I think we got the message, or got what we wanted to get across.
Yeah.
We say, we're just trying to create positive content that questions the why.
Which is why we laugh a lot. I think it's positive.
And it's really, we're just keeping it raw, keeping it down to earth.
Keep it raw. Yeah, we do hope you enjoyed though, just like we enjoy the mundane.
Exactly, we enjoyed it. I
was impressed with that one. I came up with that on the spot and everything. That was good.
Hat off. Unzips hat.
Unzips hat. Yeah. Fedora. Tips fedora. It's good. So, we do hope you enjoyed episode 3. I think we're ending it here. We are.
Yeah. So
we hope you enjoyed episode 3. And we'll be back for the next episode.
pound it.
Next week. Pound it. Hopefully they might pick that up because it was awesome. See ya.
It was a good pound.